I'm watching my wife and my son reading a book. And on the TV, we have a big screen TV, but we choose to put photos on there. It's like a photo album that keeps going through. And I'm seeing all of these awesome adventures that my son and my wife have been on and trips they've done, and absolutely great. There's one thing missing in the series of photos that's going on. That's me. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host and founder, Tim, the Powerful Man, Matthews. Tim, what's going on, brother?
Crowd goes wild. Yeah, I'm doing great. Do you know what? For the past several weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, I have felt on fire. Like just knocking shit down. Boom, 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 boom. Things that previously I would have probably dwelled on a little bit, not massively. I'm just taking them in my stride, and it feels so great. So great. So yeah, I'm doing well.
And you sound a lot better. I have the privilege of talking to you every single day, which is such an honor. But we also give each other a lot of crap too, which is fun. But you sound a lot better, and you've been killing it. Within the Powerful Man movement, not only have the men that are involved in the movement been progressing greatly, but as a movement and organization, we've changed a lot of things and really raised the bar, which has been exciting to see.
Yeah, it really has. It really has.
So, Tim, today we have a topic that we talked about yesterday, and we'll talk about it. You know, the topic is feeling like a stranger in your own home. And the reason this topic came about is over the weekend, I was here. I work from home. I have an office I go to too. And I went downstairs, and I'm sitting in the kitchen, and my wife's sitting on the couch, and my son's sitting next to her, and they're reading books and flipping through, and it was late. And it was one of those days, my son, you know, to set the scene for those guys that are out there, especially those that have young kids or even fathers of any kind, you know what I'm talking about. But my son's been sick for 3 weeks, and it's one of those coughs that we just can't get rid of. We try to stay away from antibiotics and such. And so what happens is in the middle of the night, he'll start coughing. And of course, he's only 2.5 or just coming 2.5. So he can't really take care of it himself. He doesn't know what to do, etc. And so I pop out of bed. My wife's pregnant. So I pop out of bed. I usually pick him up, hold him for a while. He's wheezing. I give him water. I sit in a rocking chair and I hold him. And I'm sharing this with you because you'll get the idea. After a few weeks, I haven't really slept, right? I'm going through this stage where I'm kind of almost in this hallucinogenic trance sometimes. And I'm sitting there, fast forward to the time that I'm bringing up, feeling like a stranger in your own home, is I'm watching my wife and my son reading a book. And on the TV, we have a big screen TV, but we choose to put photos on there. It's like a photo album that keeps going through. And I'm seeing all of these awesome adventures that my son and my wife have been on, and trips they've done, and these cool things from like ninja class that we send them to outdoor explorers, you know, swim lessons. All of these things were absolutely amazing. They look absolutely great. There's one thing missing in the series of photos that's going on. That's me. Right?
Wow.
I'm missing in it. And all of a sudden, I instantly got triggered. Right? Instant response of like, oh, shit, you know, what am I doing? We set some very ambitious goals within our business. You and I, we also have some exploratory business opportunities that you and I are looking at. And I've kind of decided, I did decide over this past month, really to dedicate a lot more time and energy to the business by choice. And as such, I've been working a lot more. So here I am down there, tired because I haven't slept. I've been getting up every night, take care of my son. You know, I'm still doing the husband, family responsibilities as well as running the businesses and doing consulting and the coaching with the men. And I'm sitting here looking at these pictures flip through, and I get that trigger, right? And it goes away, but I went, wait, where did that come from before? And I started really, as we do as coaches, started really tapping into that feeling. Where was the first time I felt like this? Where have I felt like this in the past? And what hit to me was the lowest point I've had in my relationship with my wife, right? The lowest point I've absolutely ever have. And guys, we've all been there, right? And whether you're married or not, you've been in that situation where you've hit that low point. You start to question things, right? Am I in the right relationship? Am I doing the right thing? Et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, as you and I do, Tim, we start to expand upon it, right? Add more things to it to really get to the true nature of the feeling, and also to be able to tap into what some of our guys are going through. And what happened to me is, what occurred to me as I went through that whole kind of victim mentality was like, oh shit, all I am is a paycheck, right? All I am, I go up there, I work. I get up early in the morning, I go to the gym, 5:45, get back, I'm on my son, I'm working with him, helping him out so my wife has some free time. She gets to go to work out. And then I get calls in the UK, calls in Europe, calls on the East Coast, all over the world. And so the time zone factors, sometimes I'm in my office without breaks. Like today, I've been in meetings from 6 a.m. till now it's 10 a.m. and this will expand for another couple hours. And I'm missing out, right? I'm missing out on the experiences. And I feel like a stranger in my own home because of the bond my wife has with my son. I'm missing out, right? Am I just a paycheck? Am I just the guy that's supposed to be here and work and then do things around the house to help out, fix things, lift heavy stuff, carry undue jars, and then go back to work and quietly shut up and go about my business? Do you become a stranger at sometimes in your own home? Do you feel disconnected in your own home? Or do you feel like a fly on the wall? Sometimes you're watching this ideal family, right? Because my family is my ideal family for me. But sometimes, you can feel like you're watching them on a TV screen, like there's a glass window between you and them, right? You and your family. And maybe you're the outsider watching this whole movie transpire and play out before you without your involvement.
Wow. That sounds rough. It must be tough. I was speaking to a friend of mine this morning, and he was telling me how his brother-in-law had gone back to work recently. And he's a school teacher, so he works long hours. And he would come home on an evening, and his daughter she didn't want to come up to him. She used to spend her evenings with her mum, cuddled up on the sofa with her mum or by her mum's side or whatever. And this really got to him. He started to trigger some depression that he's going through. And I was like, wow. I mean, that's such a rough ride that a lot of men are trying to deal with. On one hand, you've got this identity that you've got to be a provider, right? You've got to go out there and get the job done and provide and put food on the table and so on. So on one hand, you've got that, but then on the other, you've also got this identity of wanting to be a great father. And for a lot of the men we work with, it's almost being the father that they never had. It's almost like they have learned how not to be a father from their father, nothing against their fathers. So they've got this desire to be there for their kids, and they're trapped in this tug of war. So, these guys who don't have the awareness, Doug, let's say, to lean into it from a coaching perspective, how would you recommend navigating this for these men?
Well, that's a great question. I should share in the story that I addressed this issue to my wife right away. We talked about it and we got through it after we did it. So if you don't have that style of relationship yet, first of all, it's something to work for because it's so much better, guys. So much better. Clear communication with your partner is huge. The important thing is to realize that you've created yourself into victimhood and to take extreme ownership in the situation. So I'll use my situation as an example, and I'll look at that. So here I am watching all these amazing things my family is doing without me that I want to be there for, right? And so it's easy to go, oh, am I just a paycheck? I work all day, I get up early, I take care of my family, I come home, I help out with cooking. I'm doing all of these responsibilities that a man is supposed to do, plus these other responsibilities on top of it, and I'm just taken for granted, right? Nobody cares about me. Just as long as I'm bringing in a huge paycheck, it's all good for everybody. Well, there's two things that are coming on here. One, you're not taking any ownership, right? Owning 5 companies is my dream, not anybody else's. Working with men all over the world, my dream, not anybody else's, right? I chose to put my head down, so to speak. And I actually had a conversation with my wife where I sat her down and said, look, this is what I want to do. I'm going to be up in the mornings early. I'm going to be working longer hours, et cetera, et cetera. And she was great with it, right? Okay, that's what you want to do. But here I am now, I'm in the midst of this process. And now I'm playing the victim role, right?
Mhm.
That's one. Two is, what do I get out of playing the victim role? What do I, or you gentlemen, what are you getting out of this role that you're playing as a victim? Right? I get attention if I want to. I get an excuse to go somewhere else, either start an affair, start another relationship, dive more into my work as an excuse, or to be an asshole, right? To attack my wife and to attack my family and to further disengage and separate. And you and I talked about this yesterday. And so some of you guys are going to relate to this. So if you find yourself in this situation, what I want you to do is look around. Are you starting to self-sabotage? Are you using this excuse to go elsewhere to find love, energy? Are you starting to use this excuse to go outside of your relationship, right? With other women, for example? Or are you tearing your business down? Right? So Tim, one thing I did at the height of this, right, is I kind of threw my hands up and screw it, right? My first reaction, if I'm just going to be a paycheck, let's see what they like now if I just stop working and stop bringing in the money. Let's see how that's going to be. Right? What if what if I stay home with our son and you go out and work? Let's see how that's going to work out. Right? I'm really playing the role of a little brat kid, not as a powerful man. And so these scenarios, guys, can play out for us in a matter of seconds, and in my case, in a matter of minutes, or a matter of years. Right? We see that with men all the time. They feel like a paycheck, right? They feel like they're neutered. They can't say anything in the house or what have you. They just watch their family. You see it, Tim. I mean, I see it when I go to kids' parties with my son. I love it. There's always these guys that are just standing by like wallflowers, watching the world pass them by. And it's sad. I go up to them, try to engage with them and shake them out of it. But it's really hard because you can't have a depth of conversation with them. They have disengaged not only from their families, but from themselves in such a great way, or such a dramatic way, that it's hard to bring them back. I want to shake them and go to an alpha reset. You need this. Like, go now. Like, don't pass go. Don't collect your $200. Just get your butt to an alpha reset and see the difference that you can bring to yourself and thus take over to your family. So it's a really interesting kind of paradigm that men find themselves in the situation, need to realize that, gentlemen, you put yourself there. That's the truth.
Hey, sorry to interrupt the show, but I wanted to ask you a question. Do you ever feel like something's just missing? Like there's something more out there and you just can't put your finger on it? I totally get it. Go over right now to thepowerfulman.com/freedom to discover the system that other businessmen just like you are using. We've included 10 case studies, 10 men just like you who have found the solution and have found their way on their path. And we want to share that with you. Go over to thepowerfulman.com/freedom right away. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, wow. And I think as well, how it feeds into this is the men are often so good at telling you what they don't want, right? So it's quite a difficult pill to swallow and accept that you chose this, because sometimes for the men, they kind of stumbled into business kind of by default because they just knew they wanted to make money. Maybe they knew they wanted to be their own boss. And they just landed in some business, whether it was a family business or stumbled across something. And, 10 years have gone by and they've made more money and they've got a bigger house and they've got a better car and they go on more holidays. And they thought that all those things were going to be the answer. But then so often they've got them and they're realizing, well, why is it that I feel even worse? Why do I feel even more lost now than ever before? So to compound that with also feeling like a paycheck and a stranger in your own home, I can imagine some guys maybe listening and be like, no, this wasn't my dream. I I didn't choose this. And I get that because, like I say, it's understandable as to why that could be a difficult pill to swallow, but it is actually the absolute truth. It's we are responsible for every single thing, every single result in our life right now is there because we created it, whether we created it consciously and actually chose it or unconsciously. We've just been driven by some unconscious commitment. We've spoken about that in other episodes that have driven us to act a certain way and produce the result that we are now dealing with, although unhappy with. But either way, we have produced it. And I think you raise a really compelling point, especially with the excuse as well. As you were saying that, I could think of times when I'd done that before. Even still now sometimes, because for so long I operated in that way that it's just so easy to try and want to escape out of that feeling of, it's like a painful, uncomfortable, how do I, it's just, it's not a nice place to be in. And sometimes the easiest way to escape it is to just form that excuse, right? And then you're out of it, although that just doesn't really escape it. It just masks it and it continues for longer, right? So, it's you raised some great points.
Well, I think, I think when you're, guys, if you find yourself in this situation, the feeling typically is feeling like a paycheck. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. On one hand, you probably, in this case, right, you've lost polarization in your relationship, meaning your sex life is not going to be as good, right? If this is the case, if you've disengaged at this point, right, you've lost the polarization, you've disengaged, you've retreated back into your cave, and therefore your partner is probably, if she's tried to get you or what have you, she's retreating back in hers. And now the gap between where you guys are as far as intimacy, not just sex, but just intimacy, like emotional intimacy, is growing wider by the second. Right? You can start to feel it to the point where you just become roommates. And then again, you go through this whole idea of, I'm just a paycheck. All they want me to do is go work and shut up. Go to work, shut up, right? That's it. And then you start thinking, well, why am I even really here? Why am I in this relationship? And then if you're going to the gym, right, that's an easy place to meet people of the opposite sex, or at work, someone pays you a little attention. Hey, I'm getting attention over here. It's easy to stray off that path. Really easy to happen. And it happens to a lot of great men. And so the key here, guys, if you're feeling like you're an observer or a stranger in your own home, I invite you to ask yourself, what role do you play in that? Because you always have a choice. And Tim, I knew you were saying that, but even the guy that's doing a 9-to-5, working at, the UPS or as a truck driver or whatever, you have a choice. I know it doesn't feel like it all the time. I know you have it. Well, I got to provide for my family and I got to bring in, an extra 20K and that's your choice. That's your story that you're choosing to live into. Very different. It's a choice. Your story, your choice. And so if you're feeling like a stranger in your own home, there is another way to go about this. It's a paradigm shift. So just today, Tim, before we got in this, before we decided to do a Facebook Live, which is what we're doing right now, somewhat spontaneously, I walked out the door. My son was there getting ready. I started wrestling with him, only for a few minutes because I knew you were getting things set up. And then I said goodbye to him. My wife and my son were going to the park. Of course, I want to be there. But I said, I got to go to work. And my son looked at me and goes, Daddy, go to work? Daddy, help people. I was like, oh,
cool.
This warms my heart,
amazing.
right? But there wasn't he didn't want me to go per se, but I got those moments of, oh, that's why I do this. I get to give back. I've been doing this journey for over 20 years of business and personal development. And now I get to give back to others. There's so many people that helped me out along my journey. This is my chance to give back. It's a different choice. I could easily have told you, hey, Tim, not doing the podcast today. Not doing it, bro. Talk to you later. Go get Arthur. Go do it yourself. I'm going to the park. And you would have actually encouraged me, like, all right, we have that kind of relationship. But it's a choice, is what I'm saying. And I get it that a lot of people listening to this might be saying, I have a lot more choices than others. right? And that could be true, but I could also argue I have less. I have 5 companies. I'm coaching men. I just got off a great call with a group of international men in the Brotherhood, which everybody on the podcast has heard us talk about. Amazing guys, right? I have a lot of people vying for my time. So, but it's a choice. It's absolutely a choice. And if I feel like a stranger in my own home or in a social situation, right? It's the same thing, guys. Then it's up to me to change that. What do I get to do to inject myself back into my family, to inject myself back into those relationships? Just like a bank, you can't just withdraw. You have to make deposits day in and day out.
So what are 3 things, then, Doug, that the listeners can do right now to achieve that?
3 things to get reconnected with your family?
No. So 3 things the listeners can do right now to end feeling like a stranger in their own home.
Perfect. First thing to do is just be radically honest with yourself. And when we say that, I say that all the time with everything. It's just got to be radically honest and realize that you're in victimhood. And that's just a kid's story. You're a man now. So it's time to step up and own it. The second thing is to inject yourself into the fun in your family. We talked about being the CFO of your family, your chief fun officer, right? Be the fun guy. Be the fun person to be around. I mean, how much better would that be? And whatever that looks like for you, be authentically you, but be the fun version of you and connect with your family. Third thing to do is take interest. Take interest in those things your family are doing and those things that matter to them. You've changed over the years, guys. So is every member of your family. Every one of them is changing day in and day out. Take genuine interest in them and make that time that you have very precious. It's not the length of time. It's not the quantity of time. I know this is going to be cliche, but if you get it, you'll get it well. It's the quality of time. If you're present, you're having fun, and you're engaging with your family and your loved ones, that changes everything.
Wow. I love that. So radical responsibility, CFO, and take interest.
Absolutely. It's going to change your world.
Wow.
Even if you have a good relationship with your family, do those 3 things anyway, and you'll have a better relationship. I guarantee it. Money back guarantee.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Anything else you want to share with these guys before we wrap this episode up? You look like you're about to share another nugget then.
I think this is such a topic I'm so passionate about. I think relationships, most of us men focus on business. I do, certainly. But relationships are what cause the most pain.
Yeah.
Right. Relationships are what cause the most agony and also the greatest feelings too. And I think as men, as we evolve into that powerful man stance, the more we can harness the power of relationships within our own families, the more happy we're going to be. So I could talk about this for hours and hours, Tim. I'm not going to now, as you know. So I'll just leave it at that.
Fantastic. So guys, thank you for joining us again for this episode of The Powerful Man Show. Head over to thealphareset.com and check out where you can see some case studies there of other men that have been through the program. And we do have a special gift that will be coming up for you guys in one of the upcoming episodes. Keep an ear out for that as well. And until next time, guys, thank you for joining us. Doug, thank you, brother. You've over-delivered on this one. Your energy's been great. You've been super pumped. I've got the luxury of seeing you on video bouncing around. So, yeah, until next time, guys, have a terrific day.
See you guys.
So you guys in the community, we're going to log off here in a moment and continue recording the other episodes outside of here. So if you have any questions on this episode for Doug or I, as you can see, Doug, the wizard that he is, not because he has a grey beard, but just because he's got so much wisdom. The wizard that he is, he's been working tirelessly behind the scenes with the men in the Brotherhood. He has a lot of wisdom and knowledge that he wants to share with all of what he's going to be sharing with all of you guys as well. So feel free to drop any questions, comments beneath here, whether you're watching this live or on the recording, and we will happily answer them. And just like we said to the guys in the podcast, if you want to actually see some case studies and read some more information, really, then head over to the alphareset.com and you'll be able to find how you're actually able to move from feeling like a stranger in your own home to feeling like you can't get enough of your own home. It's just an amazing place to be. So, guys, until next time, we will see you soon. Have a terrific